Louis C.K. one where it's like, it's going to space. Give it a second.
Give it a second. I don't see
boy,
it.
oh
What's
boy.
up? What's going on with this?
Let me see. We are live.
Are we? There we go.
It says we're live.
We are live. We're live on Facebook.
It's going to space.
Welcome.
Give it a We're live on YouTube. We're live on Facebook.
YouTube. We're not live on Facebook yet.
Welcome, not yet.
We're not live on Facebook.
We're getting there.
I want to.
For anybody watching, welcome to the Inner Solutions Tuesday night live stream. We're here every week addressing any concerns and questions you have about mental health, anxiety, depression, whatever's on your mind, really, whatever you're going through. We're here to hopefully assist in helping you find clarity, asking the right questions, getting some direction in terms of what do you do? What do you do when you feel like this? When you feel sad or scared or whatever it is?
All right.
What do you read? What do you eat? What do you change in your life to start to feel better? And so
we're going live on Facebook. So just 1 second. 1 second.
Hello.
Welcome everybody. Facebook, YouTube, Universe.
Everybody.
Mental health warriors all over the world.
Welcome. We were just talking to the YouTube crowd, letting them know that we're here every Tuesday and that we're here to answer any questions you have about mental health, anxiety, depression. And a lot of the questions that we get are about, what do I do? What do I do when it comes to changing how I feel? What kind of changes can I make? What will work for me? Is this normal? Is this ever going to go away? I think there's so much room for understanding when it comes to mental health, because for whatever reason, where we're at together as a society, it's still so taboo and kind of swept under the rug how people are really feeling. And so for whatever reason, people are very comfortable talking about their doctor's visits, their chiropractor visits, and all other kinds of health-related meetings that they go to. But when it comes to people's mental health and how they're feeling and what's going on in terms of their thoughts and their emotions, there's just a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of hiding, a lot of confusion because of that. Whenever something is hidden and not talked about, of course there's going to be a lot of misconceptions, a lot of confusion around that topic. And so I think over time, as people get more and more comfortable talking about their feelings, talking about what they're going through, I hope that we'll see more and more information, more and more established methods and programs that people can do. And so we're already seeing that with the beauty of YouTube and the internet. There's so much information out there now in the form of videos and books and things that you can read and learn about. And we're hopefully another one of those sources of information, of guidance. So if you have a question, there's something that's on your mind tonight, go ahead and post it. Post it in the chat box. Let us know what you're going through. Just maybe you don't have a question. Maybe there's just something you want to kind of get off your chest a bit, kind of, talk about what you've been experiencing. Feel free to do that. We're here to listen. We're here to engage and interact with you. We can't wait to hear your questions. And so in the meantime, let's kind of open it up with a general theme or topic of the day. I think lately some things that have been on my mind is just balance. Like a lot of things are shown in extremes where people either want to go all out and have this like perfectionistic intensity, or they want to just let it all fall by the wayside and kind of let all their habits fall off. How do you I guess find some kind of balance with that.
Yeah, it's a good question, man. When you're, it's a hard question because it's a super general question. But finding balance, finding balance with anxiety, finding balance with depression, finding balance with what, and just in life in general.
Let's say with your goals, like let's say when it comes to like your diet and your exercise, and just kind of making sure that you're taking care of yourself. I often find with clients that they fall into the extreme where they feel like they have to take perfect care of themselves and do everything perfect.
Yeah.
Or they're just like, I have zero time for myself. I can't take care of myself.
Yeah.
And having that balance.
So that resonates with me. I actually had a great moment with my therapist, which was he said to me, because I was saying like, man, I feel like I just can't like walk the straight and narrow. And he said, man, balance isn't like you just walk in the straight and narrow, you never fall off the path. Balance is just recalibrating and finding sometimes you go a little too far right, then maybe you need to pull a little left, and too far left, you pull a little right. So as far as balance with mental health, and welcome everybody. We got lots of hellos. Hello, guys. If you feel up for it, give us a check-in in the chat. Feel free to ask a question. Let us know what's going on with you, what symptoms you're having. If you feel comfortable, this is a very safe space to share. There's going to be no judgment in here whatsoever. And part of the reason that we created this community was so you guys can connect with each other. So also feel free to just connect with each other. If anybody's open to being an accountability partner or support partner, let anybody else know in the chat, and you guys can private message.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. The accountability partners. This is a really, really good opportunity to find those people that are going through the same thing you're going through and need that support, need that encouragement, that reminder, that accountability to stay on track. And so I think having support from a community is so important. I mean, that's one of the big reasons why we are having a group coaching program opening next week, where it's a group setting and people can kind of interact with that. We'll talk more about the group coaching in a bit, but it is for anyone who cares. It's going to be starting this upcoming Monday, December 7th or 6th. And if you're interested in being part of it, feel free to reach out. It's a really, really cool classroom setting that we've made that for anyone going through anxiety and panic attacks in particular, really helpful. But any general mental health ailment will be covered.
So talking about balance, it's like for me, my extremes, because I go to extremes over the years, it's a lot about awareness and presence, about knowing your indicators. And what really helped me was coaching and working with a therapist, was like just having the set time aside to explore kind of where I was off, where I was imbalanced in certain ways, and then being so aware of the telltale signs of it. So for me, it's like when you're in a state of kind of imbalance, or you're feeling like shit, or you're feeling off, it skews your thinking so much that it's hard to kind of, if you haven't practiced, some mindful self-awareness, or if you don't have the tools necessarily yet, it's hard to tell, like, I'm in it right now. Like, I'm in a state of disarray. I need to kind of recalibrate. I need to get myself back up. And so the more you do that, the more you kind of recalibrate and pull yourself back on the path, the easier it becomes, and the less off the path you get before you realize I'm imbalanced, like I'm off in some way.
Interesting. So it's that classic phrase of every correction is an overcorrection. And then over time, you need less and less intense overcorrections, because it's like, it starts to kind of become more aligned.
Totally. And like resilience is the key, like the regrouping and resilience of just, because a lot of times that can turn into like self-shame, or it can start like a bigger feedback loop where you just go down and down and down and down and down. And it really just takes, number one, kind of the awareness and of knowing what's going on with you. And then number two, just the resilience to be like, what do I need to do to get myself back on track? And that's the key to like dealing with anxiety. And this is a lot of what, sometimes I feel like in one-on-one sessions, we talk too much in a way. Like, we know what the symptoms are. We know what the, at least I'm talking for me personally. Sometimes I feel like, we can over talk and overshare about anxiety. And actually, there's a video we just put up on the YouTube channel called "Oversharing versus Suffering in Silence." It's kind of about finding balance in talking about anxiety and how to tell, you don't want to be suffering in silence. And you don't want to be talking about it all the time. How to kind of recalibrate that. But when we're talking about resilience and working through anxiety or panic attacks, especially, it's like to be consistent and resilient in, like, panic attacks hurt. They suck. They're scary. Yeah. And so the resilience comes in the way of, like, practicing during the panic attack every time, like not kind of succumbing and trying to just letting go during the panic attack, but trying your best to stay grounded. Because I hear so many clients of mine that are like, it's just so overwhelming, and I totally understand. But it's like you just try your best to stay grounded and practice the things. And if it doesn't work the first time, that's okay. Maybe it takes 10 times or 11 times to start to feel some traction with staying grounded or doing the box breathing or doing the reframing, any of the techniques to work through it. But it's important just to do it every time. It's also same with, like, exercise and meditation. It's like meditation, just practice. Like, just sit down and practice. Because there's going to be those times where it's harder to practice, and there's going to be those times where it's like you need it. But that's probably when you need it the most. It's
interesting. It's like you're leaving the door open for that practice. And because I know sometimes there's periods in my life where the practice of meditation doesn't seem that relevant. I'll sit there and I'm like, why am I doing this again? What's the point of this? And then other times it's like extremely relevant. And I'm like, wow, yeah, I'm so glad I have this in my life. But if I stopped during those moments where it didn't feel as relevant, it's like it wouldn't have the same effect. It would be a little bit like closing the door on it and not leaving that space open so that when the next time comes where it is relevant, it's already there. I'm trying to think of an example of that. It's a little bit just like keeping the option there. But we'll come back to that. So we got some comments here.
What's up, Yoli? What's up, Dawn? Hey, Melissa. Hey, Shantae. Shantae? I don't know how to say it. And Araceli, welcome.
Hi,
welcome. Lisa says, hi, guys. Balance in life with work, kids, anxiety, and depression is nearly impossible. I come last in life. I got to say, I hear this a lot, and it's hard to manage it, but it's almost like the universe or God plays a joke on us in that we feel like we have to take care of the kids, get the job done, pick up the groceries, and then dealing with anxiety and depression and prioritizing ourselves is last, when it's the total opposite. There's a total trickle-down effect that when you're balanced and you're happier, those things fall into place perfectly. And so a lot of the beliefs or a lot of the belief systems that can add to anxiety or cause a depression, self-blame, taking on too much responsibility, suffering in silence, not speaking up or sharing, not delegating, not asking for help. A lot of those things that are causing the anxiety keep you stuck in the feedback loop of feeling like I don't have time for myself. So Lisa, what I'm going to say is flip the priority list upside down and put yourself at first. And that doesn't mean neglect what's going on. It means find places where you can change what you're prioritizing, how you spend your time, so that you get your comfort and you get your care and you get your time to process through what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then the other thing you can do, Lisa, is write down how you spend your days and then classify it, where the time is going. Like how much time is at work, how much time is for the kids, how much time is for yourself. Because maybe that belief is skewed. Maybe there's that feeling because you feel there's like a deeper kind of emotional thing going on, that I feel so neglected, I feel ignored. And that this maybe is a little skewed in what she's saying. Does that make sense?
It does. I loved how you said it's this total flip. And speaking of feedback loops, I think a lot of people get caught in this really, really tough trick where you don't take care of yourself for a couple days. And then because of that, you are not showing up as good as you can at work, with your family, etc. So because you're starting to slip up in these other areas, you're like, well, now I really don't have time for me. So then you take care of yourself even less. Yeah. So it makes you show up in those areas even less. And now you're feeling like, what's wrong with me? Why am I doing so poorly? And this is where I think the wise thing is to kind of pause and go back and check in on yourself and to see what do you need and to take time for yourself. But sadly, a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people double down and they actually start to judge themselves. Well, it's like, well, I should just be able to do it even if I'm tired or even if I'm underslept or even if I'm blah, blah, blah. And so it's just a real tricky situation because the more you are making mistakes with your family, your work, or whatever, the less worthy you feel to take care of yourself.
Right. The crappier you feel, and the crappier a job you do because you have less energy, and then it feeds into that totally.
And to flip that, to break that feedback loop, you just have to say, okay, stop. In order to do a good job, I have to take care of myself first. It's not a matter of deserving this or selfishness and none of that stuff. It's just you got to take care of yourself first. And then you'll do a good job in whatever area of life you need to do it.
I don't mean to make a huge move like this, Lisa, but the last thing she said there, I come last in life, is such a it shakes my heart to read and to say out loud. And so for me, it's like, number one, you feel that way right now. Like if that's a very real feeling, you might be saying it kind of tongue in cheek and just be like, oh, I come last in life. But if you really feel that way right now, that's an important issue to address big time, whether it's externally or internally, whether it's a belief you have about yourself that's adding to your depression, things like I'm not worthy to take up space or time. I'm not worthy to prioritize myself. I don't deserve to, self-care or it's that that's like you're looking at what's happening. You're like, God, I come last in life. Like it's a realization. There's so much room to shift that and to feel so much better. Yeah. Yeah. It's such a necessity to feel like, number one, you're seen and heard. And number two, that you can take up space and it's okay to do self-care, to spend money, spend time, spend whatever you need to take care of yourself. But that's such a big statement. It kind of shook me. Lori says, balance is like my bipolar.
What do you think she means by that?
I don't know. Lori, tell us what you mean. Give us a little more information.
Yeah. Melissa says, been trying to get back on track.
Yeah, give us some more information with that too. What is get back on track with what? That's a beautiful thing. Been trying to get back on track. Back on track with what? Your mental health, your physical health, your spiritual health, your overall everything.
That is a good feeling. It's like that impulse, that desire to make someone say, I'm trying to get back on track. That says a lot. It says like you've got some clarity on where you think you should be. You've got some clarity on where you're making some mistakes, and just that human. It's like I would say that is our conscious. Like when someone says like, oh, that person has no conscious. They're just making all kinds of illegal activities. They're doing a lot of immoral things. They have no conscience to tell them, hey, let's go in that direction. Let's do the right thing here. And the stronger your conscience is, the more it'll kind of scream at you like, hey, we need to go left, or we're out of balance here. And the more that you get in the habit of just listening to that, there's like this very real alignment. And I got this from a teacher, Adyashanti, where he talked about when you are listening to that small voice within that says, what is in alignment for you, then you literally feel like you're coming together. Whereas when you don't listen to it and you act out of alignment, you can literally feel yourself kind of disintegrating, right? Integrity, in that definition, integrity is like a coming together, like all your parts and
integration.
Together.
Integration. I never put that together. Yeah. Integrity is integration. Yeah. So you feel inner aligned.
Inner aligned, yeah.
That's amazing. I think just to touch, we use a method of therapy called internal family systems, which it frames your thought patterns as these different subpersonalities, and you can really tell this when you have opposing inner conflict about something. You want to quit your job, but you want to take care of your kids, and so there's nobody there to. And so the alignment comes in being led by a more core self, like more. We call it self-energy, which is like you can notice your thought patterns, but you're not overtaken by them. And you can be very accepting, calm, confident, and compassionate. So I love that. I never put that together, man.
Yeah.
Integrity and integration.
There's a really great analogy that comes from the IFS system. He describes being on a boat, and there's these two sailors on opposite sides of the boat. So when the boat tips over to the right, one of the sailors is like, oh, I better rush to the left to balance it out. But he rushes so fast that now the boat is starting to tip too much to the left. So the other sailor runs to the right, and he wants to help. He wants to correct it. So now the boat is tipping too much to the right. And what ends up happening is these two sailors, they have positive intentions. They want to make sure that the boat is balanced. But they see that the other guy is, pushing the other way. So the more the sailor on the right pushes, the more the sailor on the left pushes, until they're kind of locked in this extreme where they're both leaning off the edges of the boat to keep it balanced. And they feel stuck because if they were to just give up their position, then it would tip over to the other guy's side. What's needed there is for the captain to come in and say, both of you, on my mark, let go. And likewise, in us, we have these dueling, as you really well said, we have these conflicts, and it requires this other kind of third true self to come in and say, hey, this is out of balance. You want to go left, you want to go right. Let's find like a middle ground. Let's mediate this situation. And so in IFS, what is emphasized a lot is getting you in contact with that you, that core true self, that the you that is not a part. And so when you're from that core self, you can then much more easily engage with the different parts of you that need their support. The angry part, the sad part, the part that wants to quit your job, the part that wants to do something, move to a new city, whatever it might be. And that disintegration, when the two parts of you are pulling in different ways, it requires that kind of core self to come in and say, here's the right thing to do. Because I think so often when people think like, oh yeah, the right thing to do, it's this. But then there's another part of this that says like, no, it's this. And you're like, well, who do I listen to?
Yeah.
Which one's my conscious? Yeah. And then that's where it can get a little tricky, I guess.
Yeah. And it's important to know these different parts of you, their motivation, what their energy is. And so think of it as the way, if you're suffering from anxiety or panic attacks, when you have a really high level of anxiety, you have a really anxious part that just takes over. It just takes over almost like if you have children, a scared, really hysterically scared child just kind of just starts screaming and clawing onto you like, I need help. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. And managing that is a skill and a practice that we work with clients to work for. Hey, by the way, guys, there's a lot of people talking about panic attacks. If you want a copy of our book, The Panic Response Plan, shoot us a message with your email just to the Inner Solutions page here. You can just message us. Send us your email. We'll send you a free copy of the book. There's a ebook and an audio book we'll send you a copy of if you think that'll be helpful for you. It gives you step-by-step techniques on how to overcome a panic attack. Dawn says, I think meditation is great for your brain. Dawn, I think you're absolutely right.
100%.
And meditation is... We don't talk too much about it. By the way, Enis put up a
We don't?
Well, no, we don't. We talk about it a lot, but we don't. We never well, no, I guess we have gone into it. So Enis's meditation that's on our YouTube page,
Yeah.
I've been doing it every day, and I cry every single
No, you
time.
haven't.
It's live on my Twitch live stream. I do it every day, and I cry every single
That's
time.
amazing.
It's incredible.
You didn't tell me that. That's crazy.
It's incredible. I think I texted you one day.
Yeah, you're like, great meditation.
It's amazing. Yeah. Because I was crying. I didn't have the capacity to be like, but it's a good cry. It's a release of some
beautiful.
stuck emotion, dude. It's
Thanks,
incredible.
man. I mean, that means a lot.
It's very simple. I like it because it's a guided meditation, guys, but it's not like, now go to here, now do this. It's all about creating space for whatever needs to come up in you to come up and flow through. It's really, really, really well done.
Thank you.
I don't mean to toot your horn. Don't get a big head. Lori Van Acker wants to know, how do I stop a panic attack? Let's break it down for her.
So a panic attack is created by resistance. You're basically reacting to the sensations that are noticed in the body. Maybe it's a fast heart rate. Maybe it's dizziness. Maybe it's some kind of uncomfortable feeling somewhere in the body. But whatever it is, that's how it starts. It starts with an uncomfortable sensation. And once we notice that sensation, we often have the thought, I'm about to have a panic attack. I'm about to, be unsafe. Something bad is about to happen. These are the kinds of thoughts that are often going through our mind. Now, during a panic attack, you're completely safe. You're completely safe. You're so safe, in fact, that you're more safe than the average person. And the reason I say that is because all those sensations that you're feeling are because your body is releasing adrenaline. Adrenaline in order to keep you safe. So your body is literally trying to keep you safe, but we're interpreting it as danger. So it's kind of ironic. When you're having a panic attack, you're perfectly safe. But it just feels uncomfortable. And so our mind jumps to conclusions about, what's going to happen? Am I going to be okay? So what's needed is to do a little bit of exposure therapy, basically, where you can stick with the sensations without resistance. And so that's the first step, is to kind of accept and allow all those sensations that you're feeling during the panic attack to just be there without resistance. Then, and this is where it kind of gets interesting for some people, the idea is to ask for more. And so instead of running away from the panic, you literally ask for more. Almost like in a challenging way, where you might say, is that all you got? Okay. Is that all you got, though? Let's see what you got. And it's like you're talking to the anxiety, talking to that panic to say, I'm stronger than this. I know that I'm stronger than this. Let's see what you've got. Let's see what I've been running away from, what I've been so scared to face. And what happens is, when you do that, it actually takes, it's such a paradoxical step, because if you've been used to running away from the fear, then you'll know that when you run away, it's still kind of there. When you run toward it, what happens is there's no resistance. And because of that, it loses its energy. It loses its fuel. So it ends up moving through your system much faster. Once you've faced it that way, it's good to go and find an activity where you can engage in. This is straight out of a book called Dare. Really, really wonderful book. Amazing guide on how to get over panic attacks in particular. So if you haven't, I highly recommend getting the book Dare by Barry McDonough. It'll really help, and it will give you a detailed explanation of how to practice exactly what I just said, and it really does work.
Yeah. And so, Lori, stopping the panic attack is actually, it's a little tricky to think of it that way, because even when you kind of stop the mechanism, your fight or flight mechanism from triggering, there's going to be some residual physical sensations that are going on with it. So I love what Enis was saying, which is signal to your body, and Lori, send us your email. We'll send you a copy of the panic response plan, which has all this really, really well laid out in it. Signal to your body that it's okay, that there's nothing to be threatened about, and then kind of do some self-coaching and reframing of the situation that lets your scared thoughts flow through, but that you're still staying grounded in like, hey, these chemicals are just running their course. I'm going to be okay. There's a little bit of a residual effect from these chemicals, so it's going to take a few more minutes, maybe 10 minutes, whatever.
Exactly.
Araceli says, so today I was sitting in my work chair. I felt like lightheaded and could feel like my heart was beating differently. I tried to do my breathing and remain calm.
So I that's perfect. You notice these sensations. You then begin to immediately do some breathing with the intention of remaining calm. And the key there, if you haven't already done this, is to just acknowledge that they're just sensations. You're really not in danger, in any kind of danger.
Yeah.
All of the sensations that people feel when adrenaline is moving through your body are completely harmless. Again, your body is releasing adrenaline in order to keep you safe. It's not trying to hurt you. The body doesn't want to hurt you. It's not going to intentionally cause damage, especially every day for days on end. All that's happening is adrenaline's being released. It's causing some sensations like dizziness, like lightheadedness, different changes in the heart rate. But these are all good things that you want to happen if you're in actual danger. When you're in danger, you want your heart rate to be fast and for blood to be pumping to your arms and legs. You want to be on high alert and to be extremely sensitive to any noise or light that's like in front of you. So something that's really helpful is to interpret those as almost like your superpowers kicking in. I swear that's a real thing. When I used to have stage fright, I had a really hard time speaking in front of an audience. And what helped me to overcome that was a TED Talk. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's this guy that came up there and said, my anxiety and my stage fright is my superpower, because when I get up there to start talking and the blood is flowing and my heart is pumping and I'm full of adrenaline, that makes me so much more alert. It makes me so much of a better speaker, actually, if I can just channel that. And so he's like, I can't remember if he might have been a former firefighter or something, where he's like, if I'm not scared going into that building, that's trouble.
Exactly.
Like
Athletes and performers talk like that a lot too, especially, boxers, where they'll say, if I don't have pre-fight jitters, I'm worried. Because that's like sharpens my senses. It helps me see. It helps me have that everything going. And it's also, the chemicals are identical to excitement as well.
Yes.
Like when you're jazzed up and you're at a rock show or you're in the club dancing or you're with your family having a great time, your body's releasing all of the same or about to go skydiving. People go seeking that sensation that you're getting a panic attack. Now, the scary part is all the thoughts around it. Like, my body's misfiring. I'm going to die. My heart's going to beat out of my chest. But when you start to reframe it and all those thoughts start to disintegrate over time, then the panic attack doesn't have the intensity or power that it has over you.
There's an amazing study that they did where they took people and they gave them adrenaline. They just shot them with adrenaline. And then they put an actor in the room and they told the actor to either to pretend to be scared or excited. When the actor pretended to be scared, he'd be like, oh man, my body feels a little weird. I feel kind of off. Something's wrong. Then everybody that had just gotten hit with adrenaline would be like, yeah, me too. Yeah. And the whole group would start to feel afraid. In the other group where the actor felt excited, he's like, wow, I feel sudden bursts of energy. Wow, this is kind of exciting. I feel like, oh man, really awake and this is kind of fun. I feel like I'm at a concert. Then the whole group would be like, yeah, me too. And they'd all have a bunch of fun and feel good. Yeah. Like they were at a concert. Just one actor influencing how they are perceiving these sensations moving through their body. Same sensations, different reaction. So think about that next time that you're experiencing any kind of sensations. It doesn't have to be a bad thing.
Absolutely. Dawn says you definitely have to put yourself first no matter what. Dawn has thrown out dimes today. Meditation changes the brain. To put yourself first. I love it, Dawn. Keep it coming. Tara says, I feel like my anxiety gets worse when the weather is cloudy or rainy. It's really weird. Yeah, so we've talked a bit about environmental sensitivity, and that, you know, the majority of us here, Enis and I included, and you guys too, the majority of us would probably classify ourselves as sensitive people. Sensitive to what other people might say, sensitive to other people's needs, emotionally intelligent in ways, and maybe even empathic and really perceptive.
Yeah.
And so you can't help but be influenced by your environment when you're like that. And there's exercises you can do to kind of help you keep yourself more grounded and less sensitive to it. But at the same time, this is a really, really common comment that we get about the weather or the season. And yeah.
Yeah, the best thing you can do is just double down on what already works for you. If, you know, exercise works for you, if meditation works for you, if eating a certain way works for you, just make sure to do that during those cloudy days, and start to develop a sense of okayness. There's I can't remember who said it. He's like, when it's cold, be the cold. When it's hot, be the heat.
Yeah.
And it's just another way of saying the problem isn't the sensation or the environment. It's just our reaction to it, our resistance to it. A lot of people, frankly, just have an association with cloudy days. Not to say that there isn't a real physiological effect for some people, but at the same time, for most, even those people, there's just the association of like, oh, well, you know, during cloudy days, I typically feel bad. So, you know, when I have one, I feel bad. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. You know, there's people that live in Seattle and they choose to do that because they like the feeling of being cozy. They like the feeling of having a cup of coffee and a book to read when it's raining outside. And it's like, I don't get it, but it doesn't mean that it's not possible. So when you're in those days, look at what you can do to make it a fun day. Look at how can you turn it into a day you look forward to. I remember I used to not like wintertime in general. I just felt really kind of depressed, and I was definitely affected by like the lack of vitamin D. But as I got out there and just kind of proactively was like, okay, I'm going to just put on a jacket so I'm not cold. I'm going to eat some warming, grounding food like a nice lentil stew. And I'm going to go out there and enjoy that crisp, calm atmosphere that winter can create and get into it and enjoy it as much as I can. It really, a lot of it's just down to having the intention to do so.
Yeah. And I know for me, and I talk about this all the time, I'm just really assertive about finding the joy. So for me, I'm big in physical activity, being outside. So if winter comes and I'm feeling a little down, I'm going to find the joy in winter. Like you're saying, like I'm going to go out in the snow. I'm going to bundle up and get in a hike. I'm going to just find cool things to do during the wintertime. Or maybe I'll make an extra effort to find indoor things, you know, around the city that I could do just to really shift the energy and the association with the winter. Shantae says, well, I was told by a certain person that my panic and attacks are all in my head and there is no such thing. They are not real or natural. That's why I'm still having them, because it's a medical issue. But I'm just wondering, okay, if that's true, why haven't the doctors found any medical issue yet? I've had a lot of tests done, blood work, stress test, EKG, so I'm wondering, should I listen to this negative person or ignore this negativity and work on my mental health?
So, I mean, just to clear off some things, obviously it's real because you're feeling it, right? It's not like these sensations that are going through your body are somehow fake or non-existent. They're obviously a very real experience, and you're experiencing it, and it's intense, it's scary, it's pretty noticeable when you're having one, right? So obviously they're real. Now, granted, they are in your head. The cause is ultimately mental. They are, when somebody says they have a an incredibly intense fear of elevators. Is that all in their head? Of course. They're mentally afraid of the elevator. Does that mean that it's somehow non-existent or something? No, it's still a very real experience to look at an elevator and to be struck with fear and to be unable to go near one or definitely ride one. So the experience is real. The cause is mental. And that's why you're not going to ever find a medical test to say like, yeah, here it is. Here's the panic. There's no blood test or scan that's going to show the panic attack, right? Because all it is, as we mentioned earlier, is adrenaline is pumping through your system, creating the very real experience of dizziness, faster heart rates, sweaty palms, heightened level of alertness, and all the other sensations that come with it. And then you react to those sensations in a negative way because you feel those things and you think to yourself, am I going to be okay? Am I safe? What's going to happen? And those thoughts create real fear, intense fear, terrifying, debilitating fear. And it sucks. But if you didn't have those thoughts, you wouldn't have that fear. As we mentioned a moment ago, same group of people, same sensations. One group gets very excited, has fun. The other group gets very scared, nervous. It's the same sensations. It's just all about the way you interpret those feelings. I would encourage you to get on a call with us. We offer free calls for anybody who's never spoken to us on the phone before. Feel free to schedule a call and let's have I think it's like a 30 to 45 minute chat where we can get some details on what's going on in your situation in particular and give you some specified feedback for what you want to do next. And that goes for anybody listening.
Just message us here on Facebook. Just message the Inner Solutions page. Click the little thing, private message thing. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't been on a call with us before, it's a free strategy call. Lori says, my bipolar is no different than the balance you were talking about. Oh, so yeah, bipolar is strangely homeostatic, even though it's extreme. It goes up and it goes down and it goes up and it goes down and it goes up and it goes down. Yeah. Melissa says, it's been a struggle to get back on track emotionally after losing my mom. Wow. Yeah. I remember talking about that. Yeah. The grieving process and understanding what your mom was to you. Was she a foundational figure in your life? Because a lot of times when we lose a foundational figure or a foundational belief, a lot of times this happens if people, start to renounce their religion or they learn some contradicting information that was foundational for them. It's really, really, really shattering to your mental health, and it can cause these really young and anxious parts of you to be, very, very activated. So think about what your mom was to you, Melissa, and we talked a little bit a while ago about just your like if there was something you didn't say or that wasn't resolved, but it seems like most was resolved from what I remember.
It's tough for anybody that loses somebody. There is an interesting experience of love in the pain, like almost underneath the grief, because when you lose somebody, it's like all that love that was moving from you towards them is still there, but now the direction isn't so clear. And so it's like you're stuck with this pent-up love almost, and you're not sure where to send it. And that can be experienced as nostalgia, grief, loss. And there's no easy way to deal with it, but sometimes it can be helpful to remember why you feel that grief in the first place was because of that love, and to almost like go down into that and to feel it. that can be a helpful thing to do.
Yeah, and I would look at the thoughts you have about around your mom passing, because there's just some thoughts around it. Maybe it's a fear of being alone. Maybe the thought is, how am I going to manage on my own without the support of my mom? And you can really do some really great CBT work if you find that there's some kind of fears there or beliefs there.
Yeah, it's like grief is bad enough alone. We don't have to make it worse with all the other more rational assumptions about like, well, like you said, how am I going to cope with this, or what's going to happen after?
Break it down. Stephanie, what's up, Stephanie? Says, I find myself comparing to other people, which is painful. Like, must be nice. They look rested and sleep normal, even people on TV. Or I could be like that if I slept normal. Or must be nice. They don't have terrible anxiety and panic and aren't stuck in their head. I feel very detached from everyone, like I'm the odd one out or I don't belong in this world. I mean, I can really relate to that. And I think for me, the technique that I use when I start to compare myself to others or feel down, like I'm kind of the outsider, everybody else is doing well, and I'm the outsider, is just to really slow down and to try to locate that feeling in my body and to kind of just hold it and just like, number one, like, well, kind of hold it, kind of help it, kind of just coach it and see if I can soothe it. And then I also just try to, if I'm in a really bad state, I try to avoid or just take a diet of the things that are triggering me in the short term to kind of get some of my mojo back, because that's really hard. And it's important to remember and coach this part and say, like, look, we didn't deserve this pain. We didn't choose this pain or this hardship, but we're going to deal with it, and we can deal with it. And that's where you get some support.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And it's also just from another perspective, it's like you really have no idea what people are going through. It's like
big time.
I mean, you look up statistics about sleep and it's like millions and millions and millions of people all over the world are having trouble. I mean, literally right now, probably there's I think it was 1 in 3 or something. The last time we looked up.
We're just looking it up now. The insomnia numbers is 1 in 3 people have at least mild insomnia.
Yeah.
1 in 3.
That's crazy.
That's over 100 million people in the U.S. alone.
Yeah. Wow. So it's definitely
Yeah.
not something that you have to feel alone or strange about. And when it comes to how to interpret that, it's really just looking at and going, what does this mean for me, right? Going back to like the classic CBT techniques of like, what is so bad if I don't get a night of sleep? What is so bad if I have anxiety? What does that mean about me? What do I believe will happen because of this? And is that true? And how do I know it's not true? Kind of like always looking at, why do I feel so threatened by this? And what you often find is deep down, there's always some core fear of like being alone or being abandoned or some kind of feeling of rejection. And it's really interesting how you might not think that that's related. Like being afraid of not sleeping is tied to very directly to a fear of abandonment. But it is, and it's worthwhile to explore that and to know, to kind of not just know intellectually, but deep down realize you're not going to be abandoned. You're not going to be alone, and that these things that you are on some level worried about are just not going to happen.
Fee says, hi guys, I'll be in touch soon. So sorry, it's been very hectic here. Fee, no pressure whatsoever. When you're ready, you're ready. Replying to Stephanie, Lori says, I feel the same sometimes. Guys, if you're if you're in a comparative mindset or you're feeling really isolated, I would encourage you guys to kind of link up individually. And I would also encourage you to join the group coaching program that we have going on. One of the main points of doing this live stream and of developing the group coaching is to be productive and move forward with anxiety in a group setting, so you know you're not alone. And look, once or twice a week, Group coaching is twice a week. This live stream is once a week. But during the day, that leaves like, the majority of the week. So guys, link up, be assertive about reaching out to each other. If you feel like you want to be an accountability partner or a support partner for somebody, just say it in the chat. You can say something like, hey guys, I'm open to being a partner for somebody. And just link up, guys, because we got to support each other. Missy says, well, my weekend proved to me how strong I really am. Oh, Missy. Sounds like you had a rough weekend, but good for you for getting through it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. You want to read this one? Because I feel like I'm squawking.
Fee says, I'm reading a bunch of comments about how people tell them anxiety isn't real and it's in our head, that it's not normal. I think it hurts when people think you can just get rid of it. I wish and pray all the time that it would just switch off. My life would be so full and so much more happy if it would go away. I hate feeling dependent on others and being alone and having panic attacks alone. So this is, I think it's such a well-worded way of saying to all those people who think that you can just turn it off with the snap of a finger, or or people are somehow making it up or doing it because they want attention or something, whatever people believe about it. I'll say this, like, when somebody hasn't had a panic attack and they see you going through some form of suffering, the natural reaction is, I can't imagine that it'd be that bad. And I can't imagine why you don't just snap out of it, because it's not some physical thing like a headache or a toothache. So on that level, be patient with anybody who says to you, like, just snap out of it or whatever.
Yeah.
Be patient with that person. It's like, they're trying to help in the way that they know how.
It's classic armchair quarterbacking too. It's classic watching the football game on TV and be like, come on, you got to come down with the ball. Like,
why
no.
don't they just do it this way?
Yeah, I just woke up the dog when I clapped. No, but truthfully, you really have to be careful about protecting yourself and setting emotional boundaries, and that can be in a lot of different ways. It could be visualizing, of course. Dude, what are you doing?
My
over
mic
there?
fell off. That's okay.
Clip the thing on the table. Fix it. You're embarrassed. You could chip my nice new table. Do you know how to do it? This guy. I love this guy. It really is important to. Now you're blocking my shot too. I bet. Look. The focus is up. Do you need help? Pull the curtain back.
I think I got it.
What's with?
I think I got it.
You sure?
I think I got it.
Yeah, but you got to get it in the right place. Just keep talking.
Technical difficulties.
Stop pulling on it.
Please excuse us while we fix these technical difficulties.
Yes, we're talking about.
Yeah, what was the question?
No, we're talking about protecting yourself from other people's opinion who don't know.
Yeah.
And help give us some tips.
Okay, so yeah, that's a tough one. It's like, when people have an assumption about you and what you're going through, it's really easy to take it super personally, because especially when it comes to something like panic attacks, if it's causing you a lot of pain and it's causing you a lot of suffering, what happens sometimes is people can get identified with that suffering. And so it's sort of like this anxiety becomes such a big part of your life that you are almost like very offended if somebody is saying like, hey, why don't you just stop doing that? Why don't you just not make a big deal out of it? And so you got to watch out for that on that level too. It's like, you don't want to identify with the anxiety. You don't want to identify with the panic as if like now that becomes who you are. And what will happen little by little as you disidentify from it is people can make those kinds of comments and it's just not as big of a deal, because you remember that, number one, they don't know what they're talking about. Number two, they're probably just trying to help on some level because they hate to see you suffer. And number three, it's not necessarily your fault that this is happening. It's still your responsibility to do what you can to learn, to read books like Dare by Barry McDonough, to read books like Feeling Good, to see a coach or a therapist, to learn and do everything you can to get better. But beyond that, just, at the end of the day, just do your best not to take it personally, because most of the time people are just, they're trying to help in the ways that they know, but it's not ultimately good advice, and so you can kind of just ignore it and keep going.
And you have to understand that their intention and motivation is to help you, or is to ease the discomfort that they feel. So their judgment, projection, their advice giving is trying to fulfill a need for them as well. So you can balance, like, you definitely protect yourself, take it with a grain of salt. You don't have to absorb what others are saying. There's lots of ways in meditations you can do to set up boundaries, emotional boundaries, to do visualizations of like wiping other people's energies out of you. But also know that their intention is more about them. And that's with any judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie says, also, I wonder if other people know how much I'm stuck in my head and think bad of me. We'll never know unless you ask.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tricky to be stuck in your head and caught in a feedback loop like
Yeah.
that. You can do some grounding.
And it's the same thing. It's like, so what if they feel bad about you? I think they should be embarrassed for judging you.
Take that.
Yeah, take that.
That was very. Replying to Stephanie Fee says, I feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, feel free to link up, support each other. Missy says, I use essential oils and they have been helping. Smell to me is like a foundation. You'll see me on the podcast, on the live stream, lighting incense all the time. Smell is a very grounding sense for me. There's a scientific reason for it too, because I can't remember off the top of my head, but the smell sense skips your limbic system, or it goes straight to your limbic system. It skips like your intelligent part of your brain, goes right to the emotional part of your brain, or your brainstem, and soothes, something along those lines.
I really liked the whatever that flavor was today of the incense that you lit.
Yeah.
But yeah, as Jim said, smell can be a wonderful tool. Some people can create calming associations with lavender or really anything. But in terms of using that as a grounding tool, we definitely recommend it. Ultimately, it's not a long-term root solution.
Yeah, it's a soothing coping mechanism.
Yeah. Let's see. Shanti says, I feel the same way.
This is Araceli right here.
Is that
She's talking about essential oils.
Oh, okay.
Saying, like with a humidifier, I've been wanting to try essential oils. You'd buy an oil diffuser, Araceli, or they have like these. There's a few different diffusers that you could use. But you can also use incense, candles. I actually keep a necklace with my girlfriend's perfume in it. With a little piece of toilet paper with my girlfriend's perfume. I smell it. It's nice.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's great. You gave me this necklace.
I gave you the necklace. I didn't think you'd use it for that.
It's really cool though. It's actually it came with a pad inside of it for essential oil.
Yeah.
So you keep the oil inside of it, and then when you're on the go, you can
awesome.
smell it. I seem to smell it.
Yeah, that's very common.
It's really cool.
Let's see. We got Shante
Shante
says, I feel the same way too. Like today when my cousin workers was laughing and smiling and just like, wow, it must be nice to be happy and enjoy life. Meanwhile, I'm scared of when I have a panic attack. So that judgment of the other person is really just obviously a judgment of yourself. You wish that you could be as happy or as carefree, and you feel on some level like kind of angry at yourself that you're not right now. And so anybody who is that way, you look at them with like kind of annoyance, like must be nice. I wish I could do that. What's helpful in that moment is to just turn it around and look at yourself and to say like, okay, obviously in this moment I am judging myself, which turns out to be the cause of the anxiety in the first place. So it's a really good opportunity to, when you feel that sense of judgment for another person, just pause and kind of notice like, wait a minute, what's actually happening is I'm judging myself for not feeling that way. And as long as you're doing that, you're kind of keeping the flame of anxiety going. if you were able to accept yourself more and to say, yes, I am feeling these sensations right now. It's normal. It's common. It's understandable. The way through is to deepen my acceptance of it, to deepen my knowledge of it, to do what I can. Then in a moment, you would notice the anxiety symptoms would be decreasing. You'd actually feel a lot better right away. So notice that whenever, for anybody out there who is looking at other people with envy, notice that the root of that is a self-judgment.
Fee says, same for me. I felt so wobbly from the rain, but I love the rain, so it's not fair. It's inner ear stuff and such, I guess. Fee, I would get your inner ear checked out, but we see a lot of dizziness as a symptom of anxiety.
Yeah.
So whether it's inner ear or anxiety dizziness, those are two very different things. Shantae says, lavender. Missy said, I had a few anxiety attacks the past 2 days, and my husband shakes me as if to wake me, and I swear it makes it worse. I would think so. Like you both said, I am safe and I need to go through the motions. Yeah, I would ask your husband, stop. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
To shake me. I mean, I think what he's trying to do is kind of snap you out of it. But when you're in a state of your adrenaline's rushing through, glucose is in your bloodstream, and you're in that fight or flight, mode is really activated. Shaking you I'm surprised it doesn't get a swift elbow to the head.
Now, on that note, I would shake yourself. Getting up and just kind of shaking, dancing, shaking your arms, getting your body moving can help sometimes. What is, especially on the latter end of the panic attack, when the adrenaline is decreasing, people often feel a sense of shaking. And so you'll even see this in animals, like if two ducks are like in a pond fighting, and then after the fight is over, you'll see the two ducks kind of flap their wings very vigorously and shake off a lot of that excess adrenaline. And so shaking yourself in the form of dancing, moving your body can be helpful. But yeah, when somebody else does it, I think it just makes you probably feel odd, and maybe you feel just more threatened to begin with. So. Recommendation: shake yourself, but tell your husband to sort of just be there, emotionally supportive,
right?
But not, physically involved.
The calmer the energy, the better.
Yeah.
Fee says, I'm friends with him. He's amazing. Dare's awesome. I assume you're talking about Barry McD. Good. Reach out to him. Tell him to come on the show.
Yeah, we'd
love to do an interview with him. Stephanie says, how do you know constant adrenaline won't hurt you? Just curious. Well, what do you mean by hurt you, Stephanie? Constant adrenaline won't hurt you? Cause damage?
I mean, look, if you're chronically stressed, we do know that causes different ailments. And if you can reduce your stress levels, that's, obviously a good thing.
Right.
And so, but in terms of, so what we're talking about is more of a short-term thing. It's like you're in the moment, like today, over the next week, over the next month, adrenaline cannot hurt you. Over decades and years, it may stimulate your nervous system. It may, cause all the common stress-induced things like just, back pain, muscle pain, things like that. But in the moment, like right now, as you're having a panic attack or whatever, no, it cannot hurt you. It cannot, cause any damage, because again, the whole point of releasing the adrenaline is to prepare your body for a fight or flight. It's not trying to kill you. That would be the exact opposite of what it's trying to do.
Lisette says, hello, Lisette, how are you? Fee says, to Araceli, maybe needed water or lacking vitamins, maybe get blood taken to see in multivitamins, maybe too. Yeah, I mean, physically you have to take care of your body. You got to check in if you're hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Hungry and tired especially, you're going to be much more anxious, much more kind of compromised if you're not physically taking care of your body. So definitely get your blood work done. Definitely make sure you've got all the nutrients you need, that your food intake is great, and the crappy stuff isn't going in as much, sugar, caffeine.
Really, really common situation where people are kind of freaking themselves out, but in reality, they're literally just tired or hungry.
Yeah.
And they feel like they don't have time to stop and rest or eat.
Yeah.
But you do. And make the time if possible.
Maybe it triggers a bit and then you hold your breath and get those feelings. I do it all the time. You're saying from anxiety, you stop breathing. That's a common thing too. That's why, our first step for dealing with a panic attack is box breathing. And we start with the exhale because a lot of times you're just holding your breath and so you got to release that oxygen that's in there. Man, we're like 30 minutes behind these questions. Let's bang them out.
Okay.
Araceli says, does that help you? I've also thought it's been because I'm low on that. I'm getting better. I was a bit sick, dehydrated. Yeah, definitely stay hydrated and check your diet. If you need to go to the doctor, get your blood work done, get it done.
Let's if there, I think a lot of these are replies, so it's like people chatting amongst themselves.
Yeah. Let's keep going. Lisette says, I'm going to trying acupuncture. Fantastic.
Nice.
Really cool. Lori says, I was interrupted and had to leave for a few minutes. Are these talks recorded somewhere that I can go back and listen to them? Hey, they're all on YouTube. Every live stream is on YouTube, which you can just do a search for us at, we're live on YouTube right now. Inner Solutions.
If you just go to our YouTube, Inner Solutions, you can see a bunch of our videos.
Enis's face and my face.
Mm-hmm. And if you go to our Facebook, you can send us a message. Yeah. We also have an email, hello@innersolutions.academy.
And guys, don't forget, if you want to schedule a free call, if you've never talked to us before, we'll do a free coaching session with you because all this stuff we're talking about is really, it needs to be specified to your needs. And so that's what we do during that call. And also, if you want to be in a deeper learning environment, our group coaching is launching next week. Shoot us a message on... Shoot us a message here on Facebook, and we'll give you the details of how to join that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing. We got all the replies. Lisette says, I had 3 patients today, all of them. I'm having insomnia. Do
so many people.
Oh, so many people. It's scary.
And yeah, exactly. It's extremely common. And, on that note, I think since so many people are struggling with sleep, just a couple things that I wanted to mention on the topic of sleep is like, sleep is not your responsibility to make happen, right? Mm-hmm. Sleep is something that happens naturally, and you don't have to kind of sit there making it happen. You don't have to sit there forcing it. So oftentimes when you're sitting there and, how do I put it? Expecting yourself to fall asleep or putting some pressure on yourself to fall asleep and thinking about it too much, it actually kind of makes it harder. And so one of the things that I recommend to people is like, your job is to just lay down when you're tired. Beyond that, it's not really your job. And if there's a lot of ruminating thoughts, a lot of mental stimulation, then do what you can to calm down. Meditate while you're laying there in bed. Listen to something that's relaxing. Think about something that is fun to think about. This one's gonna sound funny to people, but when I was a kid, me and everybody I knew would pretend all the time. We would use our imaginations, and when we're going to bed, we would imagine ourselves as characters in those movies and those books. So I remember when I was a kid, I would imagine myself in the Harry Potter world and just thinking about what that would be like. And it was a fun thing to kind of lose myself in and pretend and imagine as I'm going to bed. So instead of thinking about, tomorrow's work day or whatever, pick some storyline, some book or movie that you really love and think about that. So it's a combination of directing your mind in something that is not stressful, but also letting go of that pressure as if you have to make sleep happen, because you don't. Sleep is something that happens naturally, and as long as you are laying down and it's dark and you're relaxed, it'll happen when it needs to. Beyond that, it can be a complex thing. If you have sleep issues, get on the phone with us. We'd love to talk to you about it. There's so much you can do when it comes to cognitive behavioral therapy, to diet changes, to specific rituals around sleep. There's just so much you can do when it comes to sleep. to improve it, and to make yourself fall asleep easier, to and to just generally have a better relationship with your bed. There's so much. So feel free to schedule a call with us when it comes to your particular sleep things.
Fee says, the thing that makes me sad is the dependency I get from panic disorder. I feel I need someone with me always. Fee, this is super, super common, by the way, unfortunately. It sucks because I like being alone, too, to play some PlayStation or read. But now I have fear of it, especially when I'm feeling dizzy or wobbly. I hate that feeling so much. As soon as my husband or mom goes somewhere, I get nervous to be alone, and I have kids. And so what I do is color with them and read with them and draw. It helps, but I want to just be the cool mom I'm supposed to be and have that. And that I have inside of me. I just feel like a failure most of the time. It does not help when husband thinks it's just in my head and I'm being dumb. I mean, that's a feedback loop if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
It's like I have panic attacks. That causes me to be scared alone because I'm scared of what's going to happen if I have a panic attack, or I feel like I'm going to die and no one's there to help me. That causes me to feel debilitated because now I'm a crappy mom, or I can't be alone, or I'm dependent. And that causes me to feel even worse. And then my husband tells me it's all in your head and you're just being dumb. I mean, that's a feedback loop. A thought triggers an emotion, triggers a thought, triggers an emotion.
Yeah.
It's that's a lot.
And that's the worst part of anxiety, is it starts to creep into your comfort zone where you don't want to leave the house. You don't want to be alone. You don't want to drive your car. And it starts to limit you in all these different ways. And sadly, it's very common. But ultimately, what's needed is to address the fear of panic attacks in and of themselves. And we've talked about that a lot throughout the stream.
Yeah. Fee, you need help. You
Yeah.
just need some support to start working this stuff out 100%. But it really starts by doing some compassionate self-coaching, like just trying to start being loving and understanding, starting to set some external, some emotional boundaries, even with your husband, who you're probably very close with. And it probably hurts that he just, is dismissive and just writes that off.
And you're not crazy. I mean, this is 100% really natural to feel. It's like you've got this fear of panic attacks. You know that being alone can be a trigger for them. You know that doing certain things can be a trigger for them. So naturally, you avoid those situations. And because being alone is something that just happens sometimes, that's a part of life. Like you're alone in the house or you're alone wherever, it puts these limiters on your life, and it's frustrating and it sucks. And it's like, ultimately what's needed is not to arrange your life more perfectly. What's needed is to address the underlying cause,
right?
The fear of having a panic attack. And as we mentioned previously, so much of that is just the knowledge that you're actually not in danger whatsoever. The panic attack, you'll survive just like you always have. It cannot actually hurt you. It's just adrenaline moving through the system. So we mentioned already, read the book Dare, schedule a call with us. But beyond that, please do something about the root of it, not the, setting up your life so it doesn't happen as often, but the root of it, the panic attack fear itself. Definitely. The fear of fear, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Lisette says, open to linking up, to be there for each other, guys. Link up with one another, send each other messages, check your messages on Facebook from non-friends. Make sure you're updated with that so you can receive them. Lizette says, anyone tried 4-7-8 breathing method? 4-7-8 breathing method is very similar to the box breathing, except it's not 4x4x4x4. It helps sleep, sure. Those types of breathing methods are great to, one, occupy your mind and kind of calm yourself down, and also to balance your CO2 and O2 levels in your blood, which is great for calming. 4-7-8 breathing, you just look it up. It's a method of breathing where you kind of whoosh out, breathe in for, I believe it's breathe in for 4, exhale for, or hold for 7, and then exhale for 8. Lisa says, back to the balancing. When I have so many roles in life to fulfill, I have to be last, which equals no sleep to make sure everything and everyone is taken care of. Lisa, I love you. And I want to support you. There's got to be something you can do. There's got to be something she can do.
It's like, okay, so
there's a heavy belief in there that I have to take care of everyone. I have to do this. And
Yeah.
in some way that might be rational, like you have kids, you have to provide, you have to do, there are tasks you have to do, but either the tasks feel like a heavy burden, like the tasks are taking up too much space and there's a lot of stress about them, or there's just this belief and like it's manifesting as everyone else has to be taken care of and there's no time for me, but it's really about something deeper being activated about not being seen or considered or something along the lines of that, and just a pain that's being activated.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
deep down it's just a sense of like I don't deserve to make time for myself. And like that, like the way you capitalized have, like I have to be last.
Or
Why?
that's fulfilling a need to feel that way.
Yeah.
I have to be last. Like being last is my job or my worth or my. There's something there.
Like if
to explore.
it's if I've made a big mistake, if I'm not last, and that's that Lisa, that's what you really want to look at is like just flipping the whole script to realize like actually the more first you are, the better of a mom you are, the better of a worker you are, the better of everything you are. Like if your goal is to actually be the best mom and worker and whatever it is, put yourself first. It's like trying to think of an analogy. It's the
oxygen mask, man.
I mean, it's literally like you're trying to be a lifeguard who doesn't know how to swim. If you want to be a lifeguard and be efficient at saving other people in the water, you got to know how to swim.
Right. Because if you jump in the water and you don't know how to swim, you're all going to go down.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just trying to sell the analogy.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, it's just like flipping the script. Like you're a lifeguard. You're trying to save people. You got to save yourself first.
Dawn says, what is wrong with these husbands? Men. No, you got to understand. I had to really learn in my relationships to stop trying to solve and fix things. It's kind of innate in a partnership that you don't want your partner to suffer. So a lot of this advice giving or this coaching or this dismissing is more about a fear of that things are out of control and they can't help or they can't do anything. So it's tricky. I get it though. It's annoying. And then morning again and then repeat. It sucks. I'm sorry, Lisa. Fee says, that's my problem. I feel like I'm constantly in danger. Like I can't trust my own body, but I'll have a call with you guys this week. Thanks, guys. Yeah, absolutely. Guys, if you haven't had a call with us, message us on Facebook. We'll set up a call. If you want a copy of the Panic Response Plan book that we wrote, which step-by-step helps you through panic attacks, message us here on Facebook. If you want to join our brand new group coaching, which is going to be amazing starting Monday, shoot us a message here on Facebook. Basically, if you need anything from us, shoot us a message here on Facebook. Check out the YouTube page. There's tons of really great free content. And we're here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time, answering your questions and giving great analogies and just ripping mic stands off of the table.
Yeah.
Because you're getting stronger. You are. You've been working out. You're getting strong.
It's a new chair.
Absolutely. Anything you want to add?
Just thanks for everyone to be a lot of great questions tonight. A lot of really interesting experiences that everyone's sharing, and it's just really nice to hear everyone's different perspectives on this. The main thing that I want to leave on is just as usual, keep addressing the core issue. For anyone who thinks like this is just something that I have to live with, it's not. You can overcome anxiety and panic attacks. There are things you can do on the core level to feel a lot better, regardless of your situation, regardless of how long you've been suffering. It really is possible to feel better. So keep reading the books like Dare, Feeling Good. Keep talking to people like us. Keep researching and doing what you can in terms of your meditation and your diet and your exercise. And just keep it up. Do your best. If you fall off today, start again tomorrow. If you fall off tomorrow, start again the next day. It kind of is that simple. Even though it's difficult, it is that simple. yeah, we're really, really excited for the group coaching program coming up in 6 days. If you haven't signed up for that, send us a message. We'd love to answer any questions. It's pretty affordable. It's $45 per week for 2 classes per week and a private group where we'll be answering questions throughout the week. It really is a affordable way for people to get some support, to get for anyone who can't afford the one-on-one therapy. And if you're in a really, really tricky financial situation, reach out anyways, because we do offer some scholarships in specific cases. But otherwise, I really hope to see you in there. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be a great way for us together to explore things and to do some more practice. It's going to be very practice heavy. So for anyone out there who's really ready to like feel better and do something that'll help them feel better, this is the place to be. So reach out. And in the meantime, we wish you the best. We hope that you had a great Thanksgiving. Hope that you had a great Black Friday. Hope that you have a great week this week. And take care of yourself.
Thanks, guys.